All right, it's Thursday, January 22nd, and it's time for another edition of SJHL Insider presented by our friends at UPL here at the IKS Media Studios. I'm your host, Clark Munroe. We have 5 midweek games to review for you, including some impact on the playoff picture, of course. We're going to dive into that. We'll get you up to speed, like I said, with the standings and some of the stat leaders across the league. And we're going to be joined by a very interesting guest today, Flin Flon Bomber alumni, former forward for the team, turned police officer with the Regina Police Services, and that is, of course, Graham Borne. So he played in the 90s. It's going to be a really interesting catch-up that Jamie's going to handle that one later on in the show. Let's first thank our sponsors, of course, and that's going to start with Canterra Seeds, Canalta Hotels, Capital Auto Mall, SGEU, Sask Lotteries, UPL, Chevrolet, Great Western Brewing Company, SaskTel, RBC, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, and Vaterstad. And speaking of SaskTel, tomorrow night is our SaskTel Game of the Month. I'm going to be a part of the broadcast crew this time around, which is exciting. My first time there, but this guy's been a veteran of these things. He's done several of them, and let's bring him in now. Jamie Neugebauer, my co-host today, the expert, of course, the insider. Jamie, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And yeah, as I said, really excited to have you on the crew.
Yeah.
I love how hard you're working to get ready, taking it seriously. I love it. You're going to do great.
I didn't want to wing it.
No.
It's obviously a lot of it's going to be just like kind of winging it, but I wanted to be as prepped as I could be going into it.
Quick rant here, like little rant, very little.
Yeah.
Like the people that work in this league, and you know, I do consider myself part of that. Obviously, it isn't just a job for us. Like, we really care. We're not just punching the clock.
Yeah.
Like, we love this league. We're working hard at what we do, but you're like showing again like how passionate you are, how much you care. So, you know, big time kudos. Like, you're not just like, you know, flying by the seat of your pants on this. So good for you.
No, I got pre-game speech notes. I got intermission notes back here.
Love it. This guy's prepared. Hey. What's that line again? If you fail to prepare, you prepare to fail.
Absolutely. I'm just preparing in hopes of not
Perfect
failing.
preparation prevents piss poor performance.
I love that. A lot of P's. A lot of P words.
The 70s.
And, of course, the other guy who's going to be on this broadcast is Rob Hart.
Legendary.
The great Rob Hart. And guess what, Nugsy? He would have, I think,
the beginning
doing the
of
math,
Borne's career,
called games for Graham Borne.
I think so.
Back in the 90s, the mid to late 90s. So that's a cool story. You'll have to ask Graham when he comes in. He's going to be in the studio, by the way, folks, so it's going to be a cool interview. Really looking forward to that. But let's get into it now, Jamie. It's time for the hat trick. Director Jordan's in the chair today. Bryce has some hidden music bed that he plays during that. I don't know where.
Could we get like a do
something? I don't know. Anyways, we'll start, Nugsy, with the Sask Lotteries look back, as we do each and every Thursday, as we recap 5 really interesting games from earlier this week. So here's Sask Lotteries. We'll bring up the Elk Ridge scorecard for Tuesday. Of course, Weyburn, Joey Rocha got his first SJHL shutout with a 3-0 win over Kindersley. There's a storyline in that. I'll tell you about it in a minute. The Melville Millionaires snuck one out with a 6-5 shootout victory over the Nipawin Hawks. In Nipawin, by the way. So a big win for Melville. We'll show you why in a sec. And then Battlefords with a 4-1 win over Humboldt. So that was a big win for Battlefords as they continue to hunt down Flin Flon for that top spot in the standings, and they try to fend off everybody behind them that's chasing them. So it's a big win for Battlefords. Tough loss for Humboldt. Again, we'll show you why in a sec. And then on Wednesday night, there was 2 more games. It was a 4-1, win for Estevan, again over Kindersley. They're having a tough start to their Southern Road swing. And then the Melville Millionaires and Melfort Mustangs, they tried their hardest to give the other. Nobody wanted to score in this one, but Louis Nadeau got one in overtime for a 1-0 goalie duel, I'll call it, at the Northern Lights Palace in Melfort. So Melville got a big win there. So a great start to the week for Melville, who they got 4 points, Nugsy, in an important time where they needed those points. And you know what? We'll start there. Why don't we start with Melville, and we can talk about both of their games if you want.
Sure.
But let's start mainly with the Tuesday game against Nipawin, and we have some highlights we'll show for you. But obviously a high-scoring affair in this one. Nipawin had made the comeback after they were down 5-2 here. They made the comeback, and then eventually Melville got the win in a shootout. But what were your thoughts on this game, Nugsy?
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk about Melville more, but first for Nipawin, I'm sure Tad Cozen and every coach in the league is saying to their team, like, you got to play 60 minutes. I know it's a cliche, but it is a cliche for a good reason. They didn't play 60 minutes against Yorkton in that wild 7-5 game that Nipawin had recently. They didn't play 60 minutes against Melville. So there you go. Yeah, like
Nugsy, can I add to that really quickly?
Yeah.
This is kind of weird because early on in the season, we praised Nipawin for their defensive play, their low-scoring games. They weren't scoring a bunch of goals themselves. Now, this is kind of how I think you and I maybe envisioned Nipawin being for most of the season,
where constructed.
A lot of goal scoring, but they're also allowing a lot of goals, which is kind of the exact opposite. It's like a tale of two Nipawin teams. Early on, very shut down. They were winning games, low scoring. Now they're losing games in wild fashion. So I don't know. That's a really interesting thing.
Well, three quick goals in the third period. They scored to tie it up. And boy, can Connor Watson shoot a puck.
But we knew that.
I love Connor Watson, and for a lot of reasons, but he can score any which way you want. He can score a beautiful goal. He can go power. He can snipe it. Like, he can score every way, which is awesome. He's not a one-trick pony. But yeah, the Melville Millionaires, first of all, you're going to like this, Clark. That is 2 straight shutouts by Daniel Wapple goalies. Because obviously Joey Rocha for Weyburn, which maybe we'll talk about, hit out a shutout one night, and then Preston Patnod the next night against the
heavily
Melfort
influenced
Mustangs.
by Daniel Wapple,
There you go, your buddy there. Also, I did talk to Doug Johnson. He was not thrilled, actually, with his team's performance in the 1-0 win. I thought to myself, what's more of a Doug Johnson win than a 1-0 win?
Overtime.
But there you go. Louis Nadeau has 3 goals on the year. All 3 of them are game winners. So there's that, too. I guess he's a
Nothing but clutch.
3 of 3, November 16th at home against Weyburn and December 12th in Estevan.
That's cool.
Other game-winning goals there for Louis Nadeau, which, puts him as one of the league leaders in game-winning goals, which is good for him. And, totally different, obviously, goal fest there in Nipawin, just shuttered down in Melfort. I don't think either Trevor Blevins or Doug Johnson were thrilled with their team's performance in the Melville and Melfort game.
Yeah, we don't have highlights for that one. There were some issues with the Flow Hockey broadcast in Melfort.
But yeah, so the kind of the word that Doug, I asked Doug about Patnod, and obviously he was really impressed, and fair enough, 36 save shutout, and Preston was awesome. He said he needed to be awesome because we were kind of fatigued back to back, etc. Tough one, but 2 points is 2 points, and Melville needs every point they can get now, so they're all beautiful wins if you're the Melville Millionaires. Yeah, and huge points in the standings, like Nugsy just said, and we'll show you why that's important. It's actually more important now after what happened to Kindersley in Estevan and Weyburn. It's more important now that Melville got these points than even it would have been prior. So let's start with, again, we talked about the 2 Melville games, so let's go now to Kindersley. We'll go Weyburn. We'll start with the Weyburn game, the 3-0 shutout. For Weyburn. We'll start there. Weyburn, I think they needed a win a little bit here, Nugs. They haven't been bad. I'm not going to say that they've been bad, but probably not to the standard that they wanted to since the trade deadline, I would assume. But now it seems like they're maybe finding it a little bit, and this 3-0 win is probably just a really nice feeling for Cody Mapes, I would assume, and company. Yeah, get back to the way that they want to play. I think maybe they were feeling a little too good about themselves. And the thing that really came out of this game, it wasn't domination. It wasn't that the Clippers played badly. It's just that the Weyburn Red Wings were back to being willing to sacrifice for each other. They were doing better at doing the rotations. Kindersley was moving that puck around and they were rotating, and Weyburn was blocking shots like crazy. Josh Carman, you saw in the highlights, saved a goal from an empty net. There was a play where Rylan Pierce blocked a shot with his face. The Wings were all over it. And obviously we talked a lot in the finals last year, especially about Josh Carman, but that whole Weyburn decor being so willing to sacrifice and block shots, and they kind of got away from that. But Cody Mapes and their core know that if you're going to go far in the playoffs, you need those big those big shot blocks, those good rotations on the PK. And guess what? They were 2 for 7 on the power play and perfect on the penalty kill. Kindersley's power play continues to really struggle lately. They've had a pretty good year with the power play, and you think at the personnel that they have, obviously, without Jackson Herchak, they got rid of Austin Oshovi. They've had health issues as well too, but 1 for their last 21 on the power play for the Kindersley Clippers, 1 for 17 over these 2 games with Estevan's game yesterday as well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they're having a hard time scoring goals right now, and that's putting pressure on them. Just overall, obviously Drew Moldy, right after the Cantor Seeds Golden Sheaf little bump, article comes out, he scores 2 power play goals that night.
Game winner and the
power play guy,
the
Drew.
Capper. Yeah.
Drew is, I've interviewed him a lot, obviously, lately. He's very humble. He's very like, oh, shucks, like this and that. But, he's starting to really, really score more goals maybe than he ever has in his whole hockey career. Yeah. Like he's really producing. He's probably the best Drew Moldy he's ever been, which is what you want to be. But just even at the levels that he's played at, relative to, like, he's really found something in his game. Yeah. And I think the confidence from the Viking Cup certainly has helped him. But yeah, again, you got to feel good too for Joey Rocha. I know, we were like, okay, we understand that the Swift Current Broncos have had a rough season in the Western League, but a lot of people have this rhetoric, and I don't know where you stand, so you can tell me where you stand on this.
Currently I'm sitting.
Thank you. That's a good point. Western Hockey League goaltenders come to our league, and especially their fans in the Western League say, well, it's way more scrambly in the SJHL. They're going to have to adjust to the style of the game, blah, blah, blah. And my thought process is, what are you talking about? Like, goaltending is goaltending. Be calm, play your game wherever you are. I don't think, do you agree with that? Or do you think there is something to this whole SJ is scrambly, so it's a different game? I don't buy that, but
no,
what do you think?
I definitely believe that there is, there's something there. There is a difference. I don't know if scrambly is the right word I would use.
I don't know. Either be a good goalie and stop the puck wherever you are, or don't.
I think there's a what's the word I want to use here?
Arrogance.
I'm not trying to. Well, we don't have to get started.
I'm not saying Joey Rocha is arrogant. That's not all what I'm saying.
It's not the player.
I'm just saying he struggled, and that's
the league.
What it is.
I think overall, maybe there's some arrogance coming from that.
Well, right.
But I think what I'm trying to say is, I think it's not a speed factor. Maybe a crisp factor, or like a.
Oh, sure.
It's just there's a different speed to it. I'll use that. Obviously, with our league, I think we're an older league. We're a more physical league in general. You hear that anybody you ask who has played, they always say that it's more physical. And I feel like in the WHL, with it being heavily 16, 17, not 16-year-olds as much, but 17, 18, 19-year-old focused. There's a bit more of a skill focus factor to it, where I feel like maybe the shots are crisper, maybe the passes are crisper is not, I don't know if I'm saying the right words, but I feel like for goalies, it's a timing thing. That's my biggest factor, is I think it's a timing thing, where they come to a different league, and that just the timing it's like if you're a baseball player, you're hitter, and you're going from one league and you're moving up to the next league or down or whatever. It's a timing factor. Once you get the timing, you're good. Your natural skill, your natural talents come out, but it's just a timing factor.
My whole point in saying this is not to compare the general quality. I'm not saying you are either, of the Western League and our league. Yeah. I'm just saying that I think there was certainly something to Joey coming into the league, and there being maybe a confidence thing, because not to blame him for Swift's problems, but
he got shell shocked a little bit.
So I think that's totally legitimate. I'm just tired of seeing it on message boards and stuff. Oh, it's scrambly, blah blah blah.
I don't think scrambly is the right
make
word.
The save, if you're a Western leaguer or not, it's a new hockey game. Just get on with it. And I'm not saying Joey, on purpose thought that way, but hopefully, and I'm sure Cody Mapes, nobody's a bigger fan of Joey than Cody Mapes. Yeah, obviously likes the kid a lot. And hopefully, if you're a Weyburn fan, this is the start of something great.
That's what I would compare it mostly to. If you're let's say you're a Japanese player playing in the Japanese Professional Baseball League, whatever that's called, and then you come over to the States, and it's going to take you some time to adjust to the new different cultures, and the pitchers just throw differently, and everything's just a little bit different. So maybe you're too quick to get to a spot as a goaltender. Or maybe you're not quick enough, or the passes are just different. The systems are different. So I think it's a timing thing more than anything. I wouldn't call it more. I wouldn't say that we're a scramblier league or anything like that necessarily. But I think there's definitely a timing factor.
I just don't like that excuse.
I agree. I hear you. I understand what you're saying. I think I agree more with you than the other way around.
Thank
for
you.
Sure. Do you want to talk about Kindersley Estevan because we're talking about Kindersley, or do you want to go Battleford's Humboldt here?
Well, just quickly, Drew Kosher was really happy with his team's performance.
4-1 win on Wednesday night.
Again, it's another situation where the Clippers, and this has been a lot of the year, like the Clippers haven't played poorly as much as they've really struggled for results lately. Clearly, Estevan, and I'm sure Drew's thinking about this too, is, how do we have that same intensity, that same proficiency on the road as they do at home? They are a certainly much better home team, the Bruins are, than road team this season. They're plus 29 on the road, or at home, and -2 on the road in terms of goal difference. So they got to figure that one out. But the goal that you and Rennie scores, the third goal, I guess we missed it on this highlight pack. That's all right. He just blew by a guy. Like, it was awesome. He's been so much fun to watch this year. But a lot of Estevan Bruins goals are scored off the rush. So if you mishandle the puck over the blue line, or if you make a soft play in the offensive zone, it's back the other way so fast. So, maybe like a game plan against the Bruins, especially at Affinity Place, is to really simplify your game and just try to get pucks in behind their D and try to pound them.
Yeah.
I know everybody coach says that it's easier said than done, but we've seen a lot of teams have a hard time with that, especially in Affinity Place, and the Clippers did again here in that one. So, we'll see, I guess, in person, really what's going on with the Clippers tomorrow. But again, nothing taken away at all from the Bruins, because they were not too thrilled with their previous couple performances, and they figured it out here yesterday.
And that was kind of a storyline you and I had. Talking about the Bruins was just like, it's not that they're playing bad. It's just like they haven't had the offense clicking like they did before. They were clicking very well before, the last week or so. They found it a little bit 0 for 5 on the power play for the Bruins, but if they can take anything away, they were 8 for 9 on the penalty kill. So whether that's...
Well, we said Clippers struggling on the power play.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a big thing for the Clippers is they had 9 opportunities, and they did score. It was late in the game. They scored once, but...
and it's interesting, too, because you think, like, what can Kyle Schneider do, blah, blah, blah. Well, that, sort of triangle at the top between Van Egger, Russ Demo, and Brock Evans actually look really nice.
Yeah.
They've been whipping it around nice. It's just not going in. The bounces are just not going the Clippers' way. Yeah. But the Bruins, that's the way to live. 2 goals in the first minute, 12 seconds. Play with the lead. Again, easier said than done. Cliche, blah, blah, blah. But that's just the reality.
And Kindersley, with that loss, now moves to 500 on the season for the first time all year, I think, pretty much. We talked about that before the year. 16-16, 2-5. So whether you're a hockey purist and you think 16-16, 2-5 is 500 or not, I'll leave that up to the people.
Sure.
But they've moved down to 8th. We'll get in that in a second. Let's talk about Battleford's Humboldt really quick. Back on Tuesday night, a 4-1 win for Battleford's. It helped them secure second place a little bit stronger. Tough on Humboldt, and they're trying to push for a playoff spot right now with that new look leadership group, new young team. But basically, they came out hot, Humboldt. They scored in the first 2 minutes of the game, and then it was, I'm going to say, basically all Battlefords after that. And I don't mean to say this negatively towards Humboldt. They're just a young team, a very heavily 18-year-old based team. They have some solid 19-year-olds. They have some great 20-year-olds, yes. But it is a young team, and we know with young teams comes hiccups, and Battlefords is very much a well-oiled machine right now. So, yeah, Humboldt came out strong and got that early goal. But do you say expectations were that Battlefords would control the rest of that game? Maybe we'll go there. And, of course, you see a little bit of pushback at the end of the game there, which is great. You love that. Obviously, these are Nutrien Division rivals. They don't like each other, and they're not going to like each other for the rest of the season and into next year with a lot of guys returning. I'm really looking forward to this matchup as a future rivalry, maybe into next year and beyond. But I anticipated this game Battlefords would find a way to control it, and that's the way I see this one. What about you?
No, I mean, Humboldt had a pretty good push in the third period. They outshot the Stars in the third. It's the 5th so Battleford has played 8 games in 2026. 5 of them have been come from behind wins.
Yeah.
So if you include this one, because Logan Flint scored 206 into the game, so 5 of them comeback wins. Battleford has been a great second half of the game. Team all year, rallying. They get the lead, they hold it. Like, they got very established roles, and guys have, whenever they've needed that next man up mentality, again, another cliche I'll throw out there, but they've been finding a way. Lincoln Fisher again out of the lineup. They did it. They won a game without Gavin Granger earlier as well. There against Warman a couple of games ago. So, if they need someone to fill in, some of those D-men on the back end are, have been underappreciated as well. So, find a way. And the last thing I'll say is Finley Klippenstein, 20 goals now on the year.
Wow.
Who saw that coming? Not because we just didn't know him at all. So, he just knows how to score goals.
New.
And he's kind of, again, Connor Watson-esque in that, like, he'll find whatever way to score goals. I was talking to Doug Johnson about Cale Margolis a couple days ago, and I was like, man, who do you trust in this league, in a big moment with the puck on his stick more than Cale Margolis? Obviously, he scored that shootout goal there, the only shootout goal there in Nipawin for the winner there, which was a nice one too. But they're kind of similar in that way too, in that, like, he's like, well, the other guys who have dangles, they're not going to, like, Cale Margolis doesn't care to dangle you. And I don't really think that Klippenstein does really either. Like, why waste going east-west? Like, just go straight to the front of the net and bang it home or take a shot. But, like, these guys aren't wasting motion, wasting energy. And that's how, real, unless you're Pat Kane in your prime or Connor McDavid or something, most guys aren't dipsy doodle dangling everybody. And, like, obviously outside of, maybe Anthony Campbell or, maybe Gabriel Corshane, like, there aren't too many guys in this league that are doing that
the
either.
Estevan guys.
So,
Rennie
and obviously
maybe not necessarily Cash Olsen,
those guys, there's not too many, is my point.
Not many.
So, to be, like, kind of in the conversation there with the best goal scorers in the league, throw in Joey Lees, you throw in Finley Klippenstein, you throw in Margolis, you throw in Connor Watson. Like, these are all the goal guys that I want with the puck on their stick if I need a goal in the last minute.
For sure. Well, let's have a look at the standings now as we move into topic number 2 of the hat trick. We'll take a look at the league standings, give you the playoff picture here, because like I mentioned, Melville, last week they were in 9th. They were tied, but they were outside of the playoff picture. Now they're in 7th. They have moved up with 4 points this week already. They have moved up the standings. That's huge for them. Estevan has crept back into 5th. They were in 6th for a good chunk of the week, and now with Yorkton not playing this week and Estevan getting that win over Kindersley, they've moved up. So let's go top to bottom. Flin Flon in first place, 53 points. Same amount of games played. Battleford's with 51 points, so 2 points back now, Battleford's, which is crazy. The fact that they were, what were they, like a month ago, or month and a half, I feel like they were 6th place. And they're now in 2nd decently well. Weyburn with 49 points with 2 games extra played over Battleford's and Flin Flon. So they have 49 points there, 2 points back of Battleford's. Just 1 point back of them, the Nipawin Hawks. And then just 3 points back of the Nipawin Hawks is the Estevan Bruins. The Yorkton Terriers are in 6th. Of course, they were just in 5th like half an hour ago, it feels like. Yeah. But they just moved back. Of course, they have 2 games in hand on both Estevan and Nipawin. So we'll see if that matters. If they could get 4 points out of those 2 games in hand, they'll have tied with the Nipawin Hawks for 4th place. So a lot can change in very short manner. The Melville Millionaires have moved into 7th, so huge for them. Kindersley, with the most games played in the league now, is in 8th spot. They have a 3-point advantage over Humboldt, but Humboldt has 4 games in hand. So we'll see if they can take advantage of that at some point here in the scheduling. The Melfort Mustangs have moved themselves up a little bit, but they still remain 7 points out of a playoff spot. Behind Kindersley now, they have 3 games in hand, so that's 6 points. So they're not quite enough to make it all up, but they can get real close with those games in hand if they win, if they take advantage of it. Warman with 22 points, and then LaRange with 18. Let's have a look at the divisional standings, Nugsy, in the Bungie division. We've seen this division a lot this season, where all 4 teams have winning records in their last 10 games. Not so much right now, but that's given a huge, interesting advantage to those bottom 2 teams, the Parkland region teams. You can see Yorkton red hot, Melville playing great hockey lately, and they're moving up a little bit closer to the top of that division. Now, Nugsy, I will remind you, in the first episode of the year, we said who's going to win the Bungie division. You said Melville. I think I said Yorkton. Both still very possible. Like
Sure.
I'm not even hesitating in saying that both options are still very possible, despite how good Weyburn is, despite how solid Estevan's been all year. Those two teams could surprise and creep back into that conversation, I think. The UPL division, we got Flin Flon and Nipawin leading the way. Flin Flon's 9-1 in their last 10 games. Look out. Most of those have been at home. They cannot lose at home, it seems like.
Yeah.
You made a good point of that on Monday's SJHL Weekly show. We talked about that. The Melfort Mustangs getting back into the picture a little bit again, but they're in third there. And then Larange. And then Battleford's leading the way by a large margin now in the Nutrien division. Kindersley 2-8 in their last 10 games. Humboldt 3-6-1 in their last 10 games.
We could see, and someone get mad at me out there. That's fine. We could see a situation where only one team in the Nutrien division makes the playoffs.
Yeah.
We were predicting 3 of the 4 probably.
Yeah.
To start the year. No.
And 2 of the 3 teams that we're talking about were in first place at one point.
Right.
Humboldt was in first at one point. Kindersley was in first at one point.
It could happen. I'm not saying it will. I'm not making a prediction. So
there is a scenario, though, Nugs, like you said, where
only Battlefords.
The way things are looking right now, it won't. But Melfort, they've won 3 in a row. So we could be at a moment in time here where we're looking at a bit of a turnaround, like you said. We could have 4 Bungie division teams in the playoffs, 3 UPL division teams in the playoffs, and just 1 Nutrien division team.
Yeah,
that's hypothetical. Obviously, Kindersley's still in there.
It's going to be wild the rest of the year.
That battle for the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th spots is
nobody's battling for 9th and 10th.
But with including those teams, in the picture, it's going to be great. Let's have a look now at the scoring leaders, Nugsy, as we continue on showing you around the league here. You and Rennie with a 10-point lead for the top of the scoring list. Gabriel Corshane has been on fire lately. He has moved into second. Rylan Williams is in third. Corshane with 51 points. Williams with 50. Jai Zawatsky, William Leonard have been so good, 48 points and 47 points. So there's those top 3 Yorkton guys.
15 points in his last 6 games.
Woo! So there you go.
6 goals, 9 assists.
He has moved
in
up.
6 games.
Joey Lees has joined the 40-point club recently. He has 41 points now.
Without being able to see.
Yeah, with the blurry vision. Anthony Campbell has moved himself into the 40-point club.
Can we call him Blind Joey from now on?
I'll let you call him that. Yeah. Anthony Campbell moved into the 40-point club. Josh Sale, Kale Margolis are right on the outside of that, as well as Josh Knittig and Battlefords. So there's a look at your top 10 scoring leaders right now. Let's have a look at the goalies, and this is sorted by save percentage. Some unbelievables.
Jolly.
We are on the verge. If Callum Craig has one really good game, we'd have 10 guys with a 9-10 save percentage. Probably. Callum Craig, I'm assuming, will get the start in tomorrow night's SJHL SaskTel Game of the Month. And if he can put up a good performance against Kindersley, who are going to be playing their 3rd game in 4 nights on the road down south, away from home, we'll see. But we could have 10 goalies with a 9-10 save percentage, which is amazing. Charlie Tritt has been great. You know what? He's been struggling lately, Nugsy. He had a 940 save percentage,
Charlie.
and now he's at 938. Wow. That guy he can't catch a break.
Tone down on those latkes, Charlie.
He can't catch a break. Nathan Cam, who has got called up to the WHL. I don't know what his status is, but I know he's still up there in terms of timing. He has a 923 save percentage, obviously very good for Estevan. And Dylan Adams right there as well.
Yeah.
Well, I'm assuming he'll see the bulk of the load for the next however long Nathan Cam's gone.
I know Gage Roberts has had a tough time the last little while. I also know he's really fighting an injury. He's really playing through it.
Yeah. So we might see a little bit more Colton Scott in Nipawin over the next little bit. We'll see how that. Keep an eye on that one, though, if you're paying attention. Caden Serpa, Matthias Radke, both with a 915. Preston Patton on 914. Nate Stevens in Weyburn with a 911. Joey Rocha might be creeping into that, but he hasn't played enough games yet for him to qualify. So we'll see if he joins the group at some point here. Brett O'Halloran with a 9-10 for Kindersley. So again, very interesting stuff with Kindersley. Both their goalies are top 9 in the league. Yet we've seen their results lately. So I don't know. It's crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff. Anyways, there's your goalie leaders. Nugsy, I'll give you face-offs. Take it away. Face-off leaders.
Yeah, just quickly, really impressive Nathaniel Harvey. And it fits right in too, because he, the one kind of goal that Estevan scored against Kindersley that wasn't on the rush was the classic centerman goal, right? Win a draw, back to the point, low to high, get in front, get a rebound, bang it home in the middle of the ice. Nathaniel Harvey's been really good for Estevan since coming in from the QMJHL. And just a little bit of depth behind that line we've been talking about all year, obviously. Great speed, too. Connor Miller, is he a centerman really on Flin Flon? Yes and no. I guess we asked that same question with Humboldt. He'll take faceoffs when he needs to. Same with Stein Dostal. The two guys on this list that are the real kind of number one centermen on their team, Lucas Schmidt and Anthony Campbell.
Yeah.
But they've been wonderful, and that's the thing. You watch Battlefords late in the game. Every time they need a face-off, Anthony's out there, and it seems like he wins it like every single time. So Lucas and Anthony have taken a lot more face-offs than the other three guys on the list.
Yeah.
But everybody deserves kudos for sure.
For sure. All right, topic number 3 of our hat trick today. We're going to show you the rookie scoring leaders here, Nugsy, and have a little bit of maybe a mid-season conversation about who will be the rookie of the year. Now, this obviously isn't going to include goalies.
Sorry for interrupting you. Can we actually save that for?
You want to save it for after?
Because Graham is here. Actually.
Definitely. Yeah, let's do it. Okay, guys in the back, we're going to drop this. Now we're going to show you a little bit of TV magic here. I'm sitting here right now. Nugsy's sitting there right now. When we do you'll see a little swipe on the screen. Nugsy will be here, and our guest Graham Borne will be there. So here we go now.
Wow, the magic of television. How about that? Just an honor and a treat. My good friend, Flin Flon Bombers alumni, a longtime Regina Police Service officer. What's your official rank?
Sergeant.
Sergeant Graham Borne. Sorry, we should have put that on your lower third there. Sorry, Borne. Sergeant Graham Borne, proud alumni of the Flin Flon Bombers. Would you play like 170 something games for the Bombers? Is that right? Talk about your SJ career.
Sure. Yeah, I played way back, over 30 years ago now. So I moved up to Flin Flon in August of '95, and I played for 3 years from '95 until '98.
Oh, okay.
And back then, the seasons were 64-game seasons and then playoffs.
64 games. So if any kid's tired now, you're just like,
yeah,
hey, figure that out. But just talk about your Bomber career. I think about, in this day and age, and it's still, and I'm sure you would agree, as crazy and as passionate a fan base and a situation for junior hockey as anywhere in North America. But I can imagine in the 90s maybe, when there was no Netflix and as much video games. I'm sure you guys found a way to play a video game or two, but what was it like up there back in the 90s?
I don't know if it was a great place for people to want to come to. Like sometimes I think either you really, really loved it or you maybe didn't want to go there. And I think sometimes it's the folklore of Flin Flon up north.
Yeah.
But I went up there and I absolutely loved it. We had part-time jobs cutting down some tree brush for the power lines. So that was one of my first jobs. Going up there, and we would put in, I'm not sure how long we'd work because we had practice and different things, but we'd work cutting brush for the power lines, and then sometimes go ice fishing, and we did just a lot of different things. We snowmobiled, there was a lot of cool things we did because this was all pre-iPhones, and even the first PlayStation back in the mid-90s, I still remember Mike Reagan, him and I were billet brothers together. Mike Reagan and I, we co-owned one of the first PlayStations.
There you go.
Yeah, and so that was kind of the hangout place. Yeah, so we each had the ownership in half of it. And of course, the boys would come over and we'd play the PlayStation. And that's back in the days where the PlayStation was those discs. That's what you'd put into the PlayStation, the original PlayStation. So that was one of the first things that we kind of got into. But lots of fun things you can do up there. I mean, you make the most of the situation. And if you love the North, what a great place to play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm sure those boys still get out. And obviously, you talk to L'Orange Ice Wolves players. It's kind of the same thing. They get out, ice fishing and go on boats when the weather's nicer and things like that. But, what was the atmosphere as kind of renowned, too, for Bomber Nation in terms of, how wild Whitney can be as well?
Well, if you rewind back to just before I played in '95, that's when I went up there. They had won the league championship in '93. Norm Johnson was their coach. And so I was coming just a couple years later. So they were a little bit in a rebuild. And I always say it was a good place to play. And we had great teammates and good buddies. But our team, we were always kind of in that 4th, 5th seed. And so we only made the playoffs one of my 3 years. So I kind of got to experience the zoo for one playoff round in my 3 years. So a little different that way, but the fans were always passionate. Like you typically would get kind of that 600 to 750 in for a game. And I saw a moose leg or two go on the ice and some fish guts and different things. And that's just kind of the folklore of Flin Flon. It's kind of who those fans are, and it's what they do in the winter is come and support the Bombers. And I definitely would say, win or lose, yeah, they're passionate fans, but they sure love their hockey up there.
Oh, yeah. Well, I always talked about going up there, and the people were just incredibly kind and friendly and happy to see you, great to see you, kind of Larry Fezchin. I'm sure you know Larry a little bit, but just so nice to see you. And then the Bombers absolutely destroy the team that you maybe work for, and then they're like, all right, see you later.
Yeah.
But, you know, obviously, I'm sure they're not all the same, I'm sure, up there, but good times. So you play for the Bombers in the 90s. Just talk about, you know, briefly kind of what happens next then, once you're done with the Bombers.
Yeah, so I finished in 1998 and kind of was looking for a place to play. And the U of R Cougars hockey coach, Bill Liskowicz, he kind of had recruited me.
Saskatchewan Hockey Hall of Famer.
Yeah, and so Bill Liskowicz, I think I remember the game that he came to. We played in Melville at the old stadium, and you know how it is. Over a 60-game season, you have like good games, bad games, indifferent, whatever. But I had a really good game in Melville. I still remember that game. I was kind of a physical presence or whatever, and I remember that. I think Bill happened to be at that game. And maybe that started the dominoes, because then there was a phone call. I mean, that's like picking up the old phone with the long coil, probably, and like dialing the phone to make a phone call to somebody. And then I came on campus to the U of R, met him, and kind of through that recruiting process, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but thought I would try some school because it allowed me to continue playing some hockey, which was a great experience. And then I moved to Regina that fall in '98 after having played 3 years in Flin Flon. And yeah, it was kind of a weird situation, but 1 year led to 5 and getting a bachelor's degree at the U of R. Yeah. So that was kind of my next 5 years. And in those 5 years, I also met a girl, got married, and we played, like I played married my last 2 years, my 4th and 5th year at the U of R, and now we're going to celebrate our 25th year in August.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
That's thanks.
Awesome. Because you're a Manitoba boy, right?
Yes, I was born in Dauphin.
Right.
And we farmed just north of Dauphin, so I was kind of a farm kid for a bit. So maybe that's kind of the Flin Flon connection. I always kind of liked Manitoba, the north. I've always liked the north. It doesn't really matter where.
Sure.
Special part of the world, anywhere kind of north, and with forest and trees and lakes. And now I've married a Minnesota girl where they come from the land of 10,000 lakes.
Skull, so, yeah. There you go. We're both, Graham and I we've been friends for a number of years, Graham and I, by the way, full disclosure, and we're both obviously big Minnesota Vikings fans. I'm not as big a fan as him and his wife. I don't think anybody is in Saskatchewan, maybe, but there you go. I got to ask you about policing. Now, obviously, was it sort of something that when you were playing for the U of R that you knew that you were going to go into that, or was it an option, or how did that kind of happen?
Yeah, I had never thought about policing. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to play hockey as long as I could, like a lot of young hockey players that are in their teens want to do, play until you're pretty much ready to move on with life. And so I was fortunate enough to play till I was 26 through junior and university. But yeah, I never really thought too much about the policing aspect until it was like my 2nd or 3rd year with the U of R, where Darren McKechnie, who was a Pat Canadiens head coach, he's a retired RPS member. This is going way back. Him and I talked policing for the very first time on a road trip back from Winnipeg when we played the U of M Bisons. And that was the first time I had ever really heard anything about policing. And he kind of course, in the same way that I now recruit, the same way with team guys, he was recruiting. That's what he was doing on that bus trip back, like my 2nd or 3rd year. And his message was stay in school, get your bachelor's degree, you kind of market yourself better with having some post-secondary and some work experience. And then when it's over, apply. And that's exactly what I did. As soon as I finished my last year with the Cougars, I applied and was lucky enough to get on.
That's awesome. Yeah. And obviously, you know, we had, I did a piece on Cole Tanchuk, another Flin Flon Bombers alum who recently joined the RCMP, and he'll be, he decided to be placed north of Flin Flon, I think somewhere up there. You can read it on SJHL.ca. Another gentleman, Chase Freetmore, who was the MVP of our league with the Melfort Mustangs, joined the Prince Albert Police there just recently too. So it seems like there's this, I don't know what it is, this connection, this pathway between, being a hockey player and being a police officer, and, how it seems like, and you were talking about McKechnie there, intentionally trying to recruit his players into it. But what is it about, you think, hockey that leads so seamlessly almost into policing?
I've thought about this, and it doesn't take very long to kind of come up with I think a really good hockey analogy is, if you think about a hockey team, you've got your fourth liners, right, that are kind of your grinders, the ones that play heavy and hard. Maybe you have to drop the mitts. Maybe the same thing for the third line. Maybe they're kind of a defensive specialist. They got to play against the other team's top line. And then you got your top six that are more kind of your skill guys, goal scorers. But all of those jobs combined make a good team. And I think that's the best comparison. That's why we go after like hockey players, U of R Rams, football players. I think even why we go after like basketball players and volleyball players, because those players, they understand the commitment to the team. They understand doing a role and putting the team, for the most part, ahead of themselves. Because collectively, when you do your job, the team typically will have success. And I think that's why the team sport, for me, they make the best police recruits, because they get it. You don't really have to teach and coach and mentor that team stuff, because they get it. It's from all their years of playing team sport. And I taught 2 years at the police college, police recruits, and I always loved getting the athletes, because the athletes on day one, they just look at you and like from the front of the classroom, they understand that like they want to be coached, taught, and mentored. And they make the best police recruits.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, I mean, that was one thing I noticed. Like, I've obviously took Hounds players over the years to Regina Police, and you were part of that, I think, one of the years, and a couple. And obviously, you know Todd Jerome quite well too, I'm sure, and other guys, and they were all like, yeah, this guy's a player, that guy was a hockey player, that guy played North Dakota, this guy played that. Obviously, yourself and Todd were players, and have kids that went on and go on and play too. So, you know, obviously that connection, and you hear a lot too about that police firefighter game every year, and cop hockey and stuff, and it's pretty cool. Obviously, our old director of marketing, Jacob Faith, his roommate for a long time was Corwin Stevely, who's in the police force as well, and obviously I think Corwin Stevely's dad, I think, was a police officer as well. So a lot of family connection there. You know, too, I got to ask you about some of your, you know, some of the interesting parts of your policing career and your security kind of career. I understand you've had some pretty interesting experiences, not just within Regina Police, but even in the broader world. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. Like you're talking within policing, I was able to do a lot of neat jobs within policing.
Yeah.
And like I was able to do 10 years on the TAC team. And I mean, that's like the epitome of a team sport right there. Your job and your life is dependent on your teammates. So that's a great example from one pretty neat example that I could share from policing. And yeah, I've done a lot of different jobs over my career, but that SWAT term that I did for 10 years with Todd Jerome and others, what a great experience doing that, and just being a part of probably one of the best teams I'll ever be a part of.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, how do you describe maybe the difference or the similarity maybe in adrenaline or how you're feeling when, you know, you get a call, you have to go into a situation, you're talking about the situation with your guys. Would you compare that really exactly to just before a big game, or is there some differences, or how would you see that kind of dynamic?
Well, I think we all handle those big calls differently. Like I know from experience, like really, that's really what I think makes a really good cop is you use your experience from things you've learned over the years into the next situation. And so for sure, like athletics and preparing for a big game, I think in a different way, I think it kind of helps you because with the emotions and the adrenaline and those type of things, for sure, it helps with the unpredictable and uncertainty sometimes of the police line of work that we do. Sometimes we know a lot more of the information versus not, but that's definitely one thing that I've always enjoyed. I've enjoyed kind of those calls that make your heart rate immediately go faster and the adrenaline shooting through your bloodstream. I mean, that's, I think, why a lot of us enjoy policing, because it's unknown. It's a little bit of the fear of the unknown. But we've been there and done that in a different way with athletics and sport.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, like, the stakes are higher than winning or losing a hockey game, but there you have it. We'll get back to policing just quickly, but before we do that, I did get a fan question. I did ask Regs if he had a question for you. And Regs, his question was, how come you were always sitting alone at the end of meals? That was his specific question.
So the reason why I was always sitting alone at meals is because when I lived with Mike, so Mike, for the last 2 years, my 19 and 20-year-old year, I lived with Mike and his mom. She was my billet mom. And of course, she would prepare this beautiful supper, and sometimes it was a pregame or whatever it was. And I was a pretty big eater, and maybe I still am, even though I'm a little bit of a bigger guy now. But I mean, I played at about 2:30, which to me, that doesn't happen now anymore.
Todd, when he was talking about you in front of the Hounds players, he's like, when Graham skated, you could just hear it a little differently. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, but anyway, so we would be sitting down. I think she would prepare this beautiful meal, and of course, Maureen and Mike would be done eating, and I would still be eating. So of course, I would have sometimes seconds, and I think probably sometimes even thirds. If you can imagine an 18, 19, or 20-year-old young man that's still growing. I mean, I kind of grew up until I was 20 years old. So that's probably why. I had a lot of second half of meals dining alone, and that was always the joke with those two, is they were done. Maureen was already cleaning up, doing dishes. Mike was downstairs probably playing the PlayStation. And I'm still sitting there eating. So, that's right. Yeah, that's a funny question, though.
Yeah, well, there you go. Well, I mean, hey, Mike, great guy. Obviously, great relationship with him, so that's cool. I guess tell us about your relationship with Mike. Of course, we're talking about Mike Reagan, the head coach and GM of the Flin Flon Bombers, recent SJHL Coach of the Year, and obviously his team's having a great year again this year. Not a big surprise. Talk about your friendship with Mike over the years.
Yeah, I've shared this story a few times about Mike. The thing about Mike is that he has this passion for the Bombers. And I mean, I think every local boy that plays or grew up there certainly has it. Like even from years ago with the Bobby Clarks and everybody that kind of comes through Flin Flon, they have a pretty immense pride for the team and the town and where they're from. And I've always respected that about Mike and others that come from up north, because it's a different place to live and grow up. But Mike didn't make the AAA team up in Thompson when he was a 16-year-old. So he had to go to southern Manitoba, and I think he played for, I think it might have been Portage. So he had to go somewhere else because, of course, they told him that he wasn't good enough or whatever it was. And so he left. My 18-year-old year, he played as a 16-year-old year. And this is just such a good story about just Mike and his dedication, I think, to the game and his passion for, of course, where he is right now. But he made that team in Portage and then made our Bomber team as a 17-year-old the next year. So if you think about like being told whatever, you're too small or you're not good enough or whatever, up in Thompson, Manitoba for that AAA team, he goes and he has a great year as a 16-year-old and then makes the Bombers as a 17-year-old. And what a great story there. And of course then as a 17 through, and he played as a 20-year-old, and then he got his scholarship out east for university. Like, what a great story for just somebody who was probably at that time, because hockey was different back then. He was an undersized forward, but pretty skilled. And I always think back to that. Like, what a great story for a guy who wasn't overly big or probably fit the league norm back then for being a little bit bigger and tougher right back then. Just he was smaller, but just kept on chipping away. And what a great story to kind of do his 4 years with the Bombers and then get a scholarship down to Sacred Heart.
Yeah, and obviously still has that connection with Sacred Heart and has sent some kids there over the years too, which is really awesome. Yeah, obviously talk to Mike, he just oozes Bombers, as you said, like he cares so much, so it's really cool. And obviously there's a couple of coaches in our league that kind of fit that bill in their own communities. Obviously think about Tad Cozen in Flin Flon, you think about Trevor Blevins in Melfort, kind of the list goes on. These guys really care and they've been around for a long time. Just two more questions, Graham. Really appreciate your time. I know we could talk for hours. We have before, we will again. But I got to ask you, about obviously you got 3 kids. They're all in sports and coaching. I believe you're coaching your daughter as well. Just talk about how what you take from your career as a player, as well as a police officer that you try to impart into them to like maybe learn from maybe some mistakes that you made or to build on things that you were good at. I know Lucas, obviously the best out of the 3 of them, plays Junior B for the Regina Capitals in the Junior B League here in Saskatchewan. But what have you tried to impart into them?
Well, when I think back to even all my years playing, even when I think back to all my years playing, like I played with emotion. Like I had some skill. I think you have to have some skill to play in the SJ or anything higher. But I was an emotional player. Like I had to play a certain role to be able to play. And for me to be able to play 3 years SJ and 5 years in the CIS, like I'm proud of that, because probably there were guys that were better than me that probably didn't get the opportunity, maybe because they just didn't work hard or didn't commit to off-season workout plans, things like that. So the hockey, for me, I think it comes down to really the accountability piece with teammates and coaches, and the responsibility to like show up on time and like give your effort and your all, because it's not going to last forever. And I definitely know that those are just a couple of the things that I for sure took from hockey that I've applied to raising my kids. And like, I'm probably hard on my kids, probably for two reasons, because I played hockey and because I work for RPS.
Sure.
And I've seen the other side of it with like people that maybe don't make the best choices. So I'm probably harder on my kids than most, but the accountability and responsibility to yourself and to others is huge. And I apply that to even how I've coached now. Like my daughter, she's 17 and I'm a head coach of her U18A Rebels team. And it's no different. It's a lower level of hockey, but it's no different. I expect my captains and my leaders to show that accountability and the responsibility, and that your part of the team it's for the greater good. And that's what I expect of them and my players. And so, yeah, there's so much that I think hockey gives us in life, in marriages, in raising kids, and coaching. And then also too, for me now, I supervise 12 to 13 constables on the street. I still use those same sort of coaching, teaching, and mentoring principles with the ones that I supervise on the street. It's just hockey's so applicable to life. And I think that's what everyone that's played for a long time, they'll always say that. There's always things you can apply to every area of your life.
For sure. And then just the last question. I know that you've done a lot of instructing, as you said, trying to get new police officers up to speed, and doing some recruiting as well, and talking to players. So what is your pitch, if there's any SJHL players, whatever age they are, out there maybe listening, or even if you're not, I guess, to getting into the RPS?
Well, as you know, like whether it's RCMP or it's RPS or any municipal department in Saskatchewan, like we are going to be hiring, and we're going to be hiring hard for the next few years. I can retire in 5 years, and there's a long list before me and after me that'll continue to retire. So if you have any interest in like adrenaline rushes and like being a part of a team that, as you mentioned before, at times it does come down to life and death. You want to make sure everyone's safe and that you're taking care of your business on your calls. But I don't think there's no better job right now that a young person in that 20 to 25 age group can get into. The pay is good, the camaraderie is good, and we have, I think, a really, really good recruiting and retention level at RPS. I can speak to RPS specifically, but it's a great place to work. And if you don't have to work in a day like today when it's minus 35, there are better days ahead when you're out on patrol. We do get July and August when it's nice and the windows are down and you're wearing short sleeves, but it's a great career. It's exciting, and you're going to learn a lot. And that's the best thing about policing, is that over 25 plus years in a policing career, you're always going to learn until the day you walk out the door. And if you're a team person and you want to continue to just add tools to your toolbox and continue to learn as a person and as a cop, then what a great place to come than the Regina Police Service.
There you go. Well, you obviously did a great job protecting Mike when he was out there, and now you're protecting the rest of us here in Regina. Graham, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me, Nukes.
Whoa. All right, we're back. That was unbelievable. That was weird.
We're having fun.
Thank you, Nugsy. Thank you, Graham, for that chat. That was awesome. So before we took a break there for the interview, we were talking about rookie scoring leaders. So let's dive into that conversation again, Nugsy. As you can see, the top 10 scoring leaders here in the SJHL as of today. We got Cash Olsen leading the way. He's been leading the way for a while now, but he's still at a point per game pace, pretty impressive. But Rowan Burgess is right behind him there with 30 points, 17 goals, very impressive. Finley Klippenstein, we talked about him earlier in the show. All this guy does is score goals in a bunch of different ways. He's older than everybody else. He's a 19-year-old rookie, so we've had some conversations about that in the past and how we feel about 19-year-old rookies. But either way, he's still near the top of the list, playing very good. Cash Lanigan has been so good for the Yorkton Terriers in that secondary scoring role, and he's only getting better as the year goes on. Ethan Dundas, very similar for Warman. He's near the top of Warman's scoring leaders right now, actually. He's having a great season there in Warman as a very young player, so good for him. Drew Williamson and Caleb Dewar. We talked about Finley Klippenstein. These two guys have also been super important for the way that Battleford's is structured, the way that they play, what makes them so hard to play against. And then you got Evan Cook and William Knox up there in Larange having a great start to their SJHL careers. And Oliver Nottingham, another young, really budding talent for the Warman Wolverines. So Nugsy, first of all, I'll get your thoughts on just this list if you want to touch on any players, and then we're going to dive into a bit of a Rookie of the Year conversation. And again, we're not including goalies in this, so sorry to the goalies. Maybe we'll talk about them another time. If you want to throw some goalie names out there, we can do that. But when you look at this list, who stands out and why?
Yeah, I mean, again, I like to look as young as possible personally, and obviously the 08s there in the middle. And Cash and Ethan Dundas, both of them, not just offensive guys, they are gritty. They're such good forecheckers. They're the better forecheckers in the league. They're physical. They're not big guys, height-wise, but they're strong. They clearly take care of business, in the gym there too. So, I'm sure the Western League team there for Ethan Dundas is in his ear too, because I think he could play at that level not too long. And obviously, you mentioned Klippenstein there for Battlefords. A lot of these guys on Battlefords were new to us, but not necessarily new to to Connor Logan, obviously. So, and Williamson, you talk about finding a player where, you don't usually maybe find players. Alberta Junior B is where Williamson came from. He played some AJ, but, kind of had his biggest part of his year last year in Alberta Junior B, which, is a level that's, not usually one that you pull players out of. And, again, good for him for sticking to it.
And he's been a very important player. I can't reiterate that enough.
It's just a hero every day. Obviously, he was part of that 03-04 or 23-24 Saha team with Cash Olsen, with Hudson Gaynor.
Yeah.
So obviously there's some skill there, but just whatever a situation is, guys can go in. But then obviously you see there Cook and Knox, and we talk about Gardapi and Larange. Just stick together. I want to see what Kindersley can look like. If they stick together next year, the year after, and really build something up there in Larange. I mean, not Kindersley, Larange.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, at the end of the year, there's going to be 3 guys who are up for the Rookie of the Year. I think it's usually only 3 guys for Rookie. And so if I were to pick 3, it's funny, before I get to that, I just had a memory of something that happened over the Christmas break. Just before the trade deadline, I got a text from a guy who is a pretty big fan of the Regina Pac Canadians AAA team. And he's like, hey, so what are the odds that Cash Lanigan and Ethan Dundas are going to maybe get let go and come back to AAA this year? And I'm like, 0. Those guys they're so important to their teams. They're having such good seasons. I really doubt it. But when we talk about 3 guys, one guy that isn't on that list because he hasn't played as many games, but I bet if he has played as many games, he might be on that top 10 list, is Trevor Oishi, who's now with Warman, who I think has a great opportunity as a defenseman. He almost has a point per game. Most of those games were with Larange. Of course, he had 12 points in 17 games with Larange. Now he's got 3 points in 2 games with Warman. He had a point with Weyburn as well. But that's a guy who I think, he's still going to get a lot of opportunity in Warman. He could push 20 points. He could push 25. He could push 30 by the end of the year, depending on how the year goes. I could see him getting a spot in the Rookie of the Year conversation. I think Cash Olsen and Roan Burgess, to me, are the 2 guys. I know Finley Klippenstein deserves to be in the conversation if he's a full rookie, but I feel like you said, usually lean younger. So I would say Cash Olsen, Roan Burgess, Trevor Oishi are 3 guys. And then if you're going to include any goalies in the conversation, depending on what Nathan Cam does, either coming back from the WHL or not, I think Nate Stevens deserves to be in the conversation. The way he carried the Red Wings, frankly, for what did he carry them for, 3 weeks?
A while, yeah. Well, Patnaud was sick.
So I would say Nate Stevens is the guy I would throw in the conversation right now. So I'm looking at 3, 4, maybe 5 guys. It is very hard for goalies, and usually because the rookie goalies aren't the ones that are running the shows, usually. But Nate Stevens, I think, depending on how many games he gets the rest of the way with Joey Rocha in the building, I think he could be in the conversation.
He deserves a big salute.
Absolutely. I would say Cash Olsen, Roan Burgess, Trevor Oishi as a defenseman, I think is going to be in there. Not a ton of defensemen are probably going to make. Maybe Matthias Dezen from Larange might get some consideration depending on the rest of the year. But I think you're looking at Trevor Oishi, Roan Burgess, Cash Olsen. Those are the 3 guys I would anticipate being in the conversation. Maybe Cash Lanigan.
again, not taking anything away from anybody. Cash Olsen has been as skilled as anybody in this league. Doesn't matter if you're a rookie or not. He's been unbelievable. And so fun to watch. Like that's another thing too, is like he tries things. I love guys who are creative.
Yeah.
But to me, like the best overall rookie, like in every area of the game, to me is Cash Lanigan. And I know the points aren't as much as Olsen and Burgess could still be by the end of the year. Yorkton's just putting pucks in for fun anyways. And he's got some D-men back there that can really chip in now too, behind him. Yep. I just think Cash, again, he's an 08. That, again, the younger and a guy that's contributing means something to me. But again, I don't have a vote. But obviously to me, it's probably Olsen, Burgess, or Lanigan that maybe gets in there. Obviously, Klippenstein has 20 goals. Yeah. So he technically, I know it says on the website that Caden Serpa is a rookie, but he's an 05.
He's 20.
He's 20.
I can't.
I think literally the rules are you have to be at least.
I can't do that one. Sorry, Caden. Sorry, Caden.
Obviously, he's been great. But
yeah. I agree. And
if I was God, I would give it to Cash Lanigan.
Yeah, one of the Cashes.
One of the Cashes.
But to me, with Rowan Burgess and Cash Olsen, like to your point, Cash Lanigan, absolutely everything you said, 100% agree. Cash Olsen and Rowan Burgess, as 18-year-olds, have been on either the top line or the second line all season long. So is Cash Lanigan, in fairness, for the lot of the season. But those guys have been like key players for their team's offensive structure all season. And they're cool names. So anyways, with that in mind, that's a fun conversation. We'll have it again in a few weeks.
Maybe respond to when comment on this on X or Facebook or whatever, and tell us who you think should be the rookie of the year.
Yeah, let us know, because there's some great options this year. Really is. Let's have a look at the upcoming schedule, Nugsy. 5 games Friday, 5 games Saturday. We'll start with Nipawin in Warman on Friday night, Humboldt in Weyburn. It's always a good time. Kindersley in Yorkton, of course, that is the SaskTel game of the month. So if you have SaskTel, you can watch it live. Me and Nugsy will be part of the broadcast team with Rob Hart. It's going to be a great time. Of course, Nugsy and Rob are going to be calling the game. I'm just going to show up here and there.
You got lots of running around to do.
You're running around the rink.
Clark, get us coffee.
Talking
Clark, get us
on
donuts.
the bench. I am not getting you coffee. I'm just saying that right now.
Gluten-free donuts.
Yeah, gluten-free donuts. Do they have those in Yorkton?
I don't know.
We'll have to ask. Larange is going to be in Battlefords. Should be a fun one. And then Estevan, of course. 2-game set starting up in the Whitney Forum in Flin Flon. One of the best rivalries of the last decade.
I watched the highlights of that Cam Herdlick game where he was ridiculous.
Oh my
and made
gosh.
whatever 60-something save.
And then the one off the boards. Oh, gross.
Yeah.
I still feel bad for that one. The Melfort Mustangs will be in Melville on Saturday night. The Battle of the Mells continues. They just played each other on Wednesday. Of course, that was the 1-0 overtime game.
Yep.
The Humboldt Broncos will stay in Weyburn. The Kindersley Clippers will stay in Yorkton. Larange will stay in Battlefords. And Estevan will stay in Flin Flon. A lot of rematches. 2-game sets this weekend and rematches on Saturday. So there you go, Nugsy. Game of the month, I guess. Let's start there. I'm assuming that's what you're looking forward to most this weekend. Is there any other things you're paying attention to, or is it kind of game of the month right now is top of mind?
Well, certainly. I mean, obviously, gotta prepare for that. Yeah. But I mean, we talk about the Estevan Bruins and the kind of the chaos and the mistakes and the not as locked into structure other teams they do lend themselves to Estevan's style of speed and counterattack and skill and whatnot. And Drew Kosher was really happy with how his team got after it for 60 minutes last night. Look, you better get after it for 60 minutes up at the Whitney Forum.
You don't have a choice.
You don't have a choice, or it's going to be an embarrassing night for you. That's just the two options right now. We're really going to learn something about this Estevan Bruins team in the second half. We know what the first half Bruins were. We know that. Yeah. We're going to find out what the second half Bruins are this weekend.
And we're going to find out the second half Bombers, can they stay perfect at home? They haven't lost at home yet.
16-0, yeah.
Unbelievable feat there. But we've barely seen the new look Bombers since the trade deadline. They've only played 2 games. Yeah. So this will be a great I don't know what the litmus test, I guess. Estevan's a solid team, great really rivalry.
Yeah.
A lot of the
Couldn't
rivalry.
be further away from each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
The farthest geographical rivals of all time.
Don't remind me from 2022, the finals. I felt like I was on the International Space Station.
I felt
after
that for you guys that year.
That was great, though.
I'm sure it was. It was some of the best hockey ever.
Once we were there, it was awesome.
Yeah.
In between there,
it
was
between.
a tough time.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But it's going to be a great weekend, I think, overall. And a great test, like you said, for Estevan, a great test for Flin Flon. And you know what? There's a couple other series, like I mentioned, with Battleford's playing Larange twice. Can Battlefords take advantage of the difference in standings? They're only 2 points back of Flin Flon. If Flin Flon's not careful and Estevan comes out strong in one or both of those games and maybe steals some points, we could be looking at a new first-place team by Monday, Nugsy. That would be wild. Weyburn, Humboldt. Humboldt needs to get a couple of points here to stay in the playoff push. I mean, they're going to be in the playoff push for a while, but those points are huge if they can get some in Weyburn while they're there.
Yeah. And the last one for me is Melfort serious about making this playoff push?
Right.
Because this weekend can tell us a lot about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the Melville Millionaires look really good to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
I know that battle for 7-8 we talked about, it's going to be serious, but like who you got to beat who's around you, because not only are you trying to go on a run, but the people in front of you are making their own runs.
Exactly.
So
and they don't want to give up any ground.
Yeah. And Doug and Blevy have coached against each other 5 gazillion times. It's kind of fun that matchup.
With Kindersley with 2 in Yorkton, finishing up their 4 games in 5 nights, they have lost 8 of their last 10, 3 in a row. And they are 3 points up on Humboldt. So here's the scenario for the weekend for everybody here who's the 7 through 10 battle is the one that I think we're both really paying attention to.
Yeah.
Yorkton plays Kindersley twice. Melville plays Humboldt just the one time, or sorry, Melfort the one time. Melville also plays, who do they play on Friday? Do they play on Friday? No, they don't play on Friday. So just the one game for those 2 teams. Kindersley plays Yorkton, as I mentioned. Humboldt plays Weyburn, and Melfort plays the Melville Millionaires. So Melville has 40 points, Kindersley 39, Humboldt 36, Melfort 32. So if you think about points and different things throughout this weekend, we could see that whole Melville, Kindersley, Humboldt, Melfort in that order. That could be totally flip-flopped by Monday, to an extent anyways. Melfort doesn't have a choice. They don't have a chance to move up, but they could get closer.
Yeah.
Humboldt, Kindersley could swap potentially. Melville could move down. They could move up. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Should be fun.
It's going to be great.
And Saturday night in Weyburn, I will be calling it on Flow Hockey as well.
I don't think I knew that.
It's brand new information.
Okay. Breaking news.
Breaking news. Because it's family weekend, and I think Dylan Fiesel has Big Six, and they want Stephen Wilson in the arena to do the in-arena stuff for the family parents thing. So,
well, good luck there.
There you go. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I can't wait.
All right, so there you go. That's the weekend coming up. That's the show that was. Thanks to Graham Borne for joining us today.
Yeah, the legendary Graham Borne.
Absolutely. That was a great chat there, and can't wait to hear the feedback from it. I'm sure Mike Reagan will have some things to say. That'll be great. But we have a big weekend coming up, 10 games, and then on Monday we'll recap it all on SJHL Weekly. So for Nugsy, for the guys in the back, for Jordan and Steven, for Graham and everybody here at IKS Media and the SJHL, thanks for watching or listening today, and we'll see you on Monday. Enjoy the weekend, everyone.
That'll do it. Yeah, that'll do it. Yeah, I'd say that'll do it.